finally, I do have some voice today after 4 days of talking and shouting over loud music. So we'll see how this goes. So Chris Blackbird reporting from the Netherlands for the 14th edition of Luminosity Beach Festival. I'm joined here for the special interview with a DJ who's no stranger to Luminosity and has released dozens of tracks and releases and been instrumental to driving success behind a number of trance labels, and launched his latest imprint in 2021 with the track Reason to Rise. Please welcome the one and only Darren Porter.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for having me in your room.
Yeah, it's it is, but right now I think it's probably the hottest day of the year in Europe. I think by far, from my opinion, anyway. And we're currently in the hotel here in Schiphol in Amsterdam, and we've got the aircon in the room. We're gonna do this outside, but it's just we're they're not out there. We can't do it. So beautiful weather. Yeah. Beautiful, as the British would say, a little bit too hot.
Exactly. So, speaking of hot, yesterday during your set, I'm sure that hot sun probably dropped a few kilograms from that smoke. And I know I was on stage a few times and I was just sweating and I wasn't even performing. So
no, yeah, that was I mean, it's not a bad thing. It was a few pounds at all. It was a bit of COVID belly. I'm gonna blame something.
Same with that,
yeah. But yeah, so yesterday it was really hot. It was really, really hot. I think it was like a canopy just for the rain, just in case. And that was yeah, it was warm. But the crowd was warm, and I felt the energy in the heat, and that was just like, did you feel it? It was weird, it was like tantalizing and physical. It's an unbelievable feeling. It was
being able to see the crowd, knowing that they were sweating as well, dancing to the music. There's just nothing like it, especially with that view.
Yeah, I was cheering. I was waiting ahead. There's another drink, just trying to keep hydrated.
They should have IVs up on that stage.
I think they might be misused.
Yes, they're gonna probably. So we've had a few exchanges over the years in socials, ran into each other at, I think it was Dream State 2018, 2019. It was nice to meet you and your lovely fiance, Anya, who is off camera. She's waving, you just can't see it. I've got a few burning questions that I'm dying to ask you, so put on your thinking cap. You don't have to. It's your story, and that's where I always love to start, is origin stories. They're very much part of what shapes us as not only artists, but also individuals, as ourselves, and put us where we are today and who we are today. Can you tell us that first memory of that first trance track, or maybe it was techno, when back in the day when it was called techno, that made you fall in love with trance music?
Excuse me. Tell you what, for a while thinking this one.
That's okay. This thing came with my voice going away.
That's hot. It's warm and easy. Anyway, I didn't know at the time I was listening to trance.
Oh, no.
Okay. There's no, I didn't know what it was. I didn't define it. I wasn't into music enough to define what a subgenre or something else was.
Sure.
But like late 80s, now it's barely, able to understand music. So like 7 and 8 years old, kind of just bounced around or whatever 7 and 8 year olds bounce around to. It wasn't dude sharp or something these days, right down out the wall, having 3 boys. Wow, I'm really glad I grew up then listening to, let's say, influenced by the time we get to, let's say I'm 10 years old and this track drops with this like way in the back seat of my dad's car. I go, what the hell is this? I didn't know. Then this piano came and it shook me up and I bounced around like I'm kidding in the back of the car. And I was like, ooh. And I was like, ooh, there we are, Rock Miles Children. Massive influence. And this had a commercial, I would say success, but like, who'd heard this, like, us kicking offbeat before in the back of my dad's car on like Radio 1 or whatever, TF, some radio station, whatever it was on. And then came this kind of era following that was all this kind of Euro dance kind of influence, commercial sounds, which led onto the beat sounds, and it all evolved into that. So I went with that groove. So did I know I was listening to trance music? No, I was listening to this unbelievable selection of sounds that was put together with this hard, aggressive dunk almost back then.
Electronica.
Exactly. And I was obsessed with it. And when the album came out, so it was one of the first albums I ever bought my own, kind of put my money and saving up and stuff. I learned to play like pianos and keyboards just by listening. I never going piano lessons or anything like this. So it's one of the things, you pick it up by ear, and one of the things I picked up really early on was Rock Miles Children, and get that and figured out that first whole thing is a run of the same chord, all the notes of the chord. I was like, that's kind of cool, get it? So that's probably the strongest influence, but I didn't know it was trance.
Yeah. That that was kind of my story. It's actually, I was 16 and I was flying to Amsterdam with my dad. It was the first time, 96. And they had the little in-seat headphones and it was Olive, You're Not Alone. That was my first trance track. And like, this next time I came back to Amsterdam was the first time we get to Luminosity in 2017. And Paul Webster played his version. I literally just like broke down. It's like, come full circle. First heard this track coming to Amsterdam, come back here and hear a free version of it. So it was amazing. But
it was because I found similarities in me being caught by sound. And there's not just in that Drum of Miles, because I would bounce around. I was as a kid and danced at all sorts of stuff. But there was something that calmed me down while I should have been bouncing around with such a dunk kind of off-beat kick and stuff, But then on the same year, I started to listen to music a little bit differently. I started to learn, understand, and try and mimic and complement. And that's when The Lion King came out. And I had the score to that. And I had a bit more of it. And I was listening for understanding. And this all then kind of just piled into the cinematic, uplifting, harmonic, whatever it was, is in there that I now call trance. Whatever you call trance, you can call trance what you want, but that's what I call it. So,
and that's very interesting because I was doing a little bit of homework on Darren Porter. And I was intrigued in one of the other interviews that you did. I think it was like Trance Are You, forget her name, that you were doing an interview there as well. And you mentioned that film scores were a big inspiration to your sound design and the way that you build trance tracks. So we talked about Lion King right now, but I want to know your favorite movie scores. And like maybe first, just a couple of them that stick out and have in any of those popular ones or favorites influence any of your tracks, what they might be.
Yeah, there's a lot of influence, but they come from not so much my favorite ones. It comes from the techniques that I use in them.
Oh, I love that.
Okay, so the techniques that I use a bit in them, and this goes from an interview that Hans Zimmer had, I think it was back in the 90s. If you dig it out somewhere, I think he was talking about one with Gladiator he was scoring at the time. And I was at him rescuing Pirates of the Caribbean in 2003, I think it was, because he took on that project really late after so I did the main riff, and they was like all on board, and it was a really real. I was like, wow, how the hell did you pull that thing together in that time? Obsessed with it. And the reason why I was obsessed with that was because of his explanation of what he'd done. He used an orchestra the same way you would like basically play the instruments of the rock band.
Sure.
So you would put string instruments and cellos through distortion on, and you're getting this kind of thing. You're on Johnny Depp as part. Yeah, he's a Jack Sparrow. He was a rock star. If he's there, that's what you would say. Like it's always distortion, power fifths and chords. And I thought, okay, so that's what he's done. It's basically you build up a rock band with an orchestra, and there's used. And then if you look what he does with most of these movies, there's something of the essence of what he's working on in what he uses, not just the melodies, as what he does with the instruments and sound. Another example, I'm getting to mine by the way, another example is on Interstellar. Interstellar. I think Interstellar was here. So we've got the organ. He said it needs actual wind and air. It needs to breathe. It's basically a pair of lungs. And you feel the world and the universe breathing with this. And I'm like, goosebumps thinking about you using air and pressure to create that sound, which is what the unit. It's like, wow.
So the science behind you,
the science behind the harmonics of where it comes out is purely fascinating, and then actually the result comes out with a really clear explanation. So back to what I do with sound design is, there's thousands and thousands of presets banks, and it'll say like, bass, and I'll have a patch, like 15 or 16 bass patches. That one's a bass. Now I need a pluck, so I go and find the pluck category and pick one of those. That's painting by numbers. That's genuinely painting by numbers and just filling gaps, right? I like to find harmonics or find something where there isn't anything.
Right.
I like to blur that mix between sound effects and sound harmony and instruments. You get something out of it. Of course, your trance tracks, you'll have your usual ingredients, but you need the kick in there. You're going to need your usual. You have your own favorite little feel. And then everything else beyond that, it's the harmonic building. It's the layering of what every sound is doing to that harmonic. So basically building, creating an orchestra out of synthesizers without being too on the nose with the cheap synths, So I'm building rock music with an orchestral composer's mindset into a trance world.
That's fascinating.
And I look for harmonics and everything. Harmonics attention.
So One of the that actually makes me think of, so music has been a big inspiration in your life, and I talk to a lot of artists that aspire to make music their job. They have a 9 to 5, like myself, which, as much as I would love to be full-time in the music, I've got, as I say, 3 boys, 2 dogs, a wife, and a house that I had to do. So I do have to have a day job. So in looking at that stability, I've always loved to inquire, if you weren't in music, what would you think you would be doing?
I don't have no idea.
It's a your response.
I have no idea. Well, there are things I could be doing and probably would be doing, but not out of choice. I made a choice really early on in my life that it would be something in music. I would end up in music one day, and when the day comes that I'm old enough and mature enough to understand that it isn't going to work, then I'll stop doing it. But until then, I'm going to work my ass off to get where that's going to be. So that's been my entire existence. So will I kind of see myself doing anything but that? Maybe. I don't know if I even thought about it. Because I know I about it. No, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's dangerous to have a backup plan and stuff like this. But I feel I have plenty of hobbies and experiences that I think I could. Yeah, I think I would branch out into some technology branch of some sort.
Well, and even at this point, being in the industry as long as you have and working with music, a lot of people do look at you as an inspiration. So that's always an opportunity to inspire others as well. And this is where I wanted to kind of go with that concept of the inspiration. So one of my personal and favorite top 10s is the track that he did was Sean his Potion. It actually happens to be the #1 favorite track of my friend Max, or shout out to Mac from Minneapolis. He loves that song. And when Sean was in town for the show that I brought him in 2021, he literally just started crying. And I've got this photo I want to show you. It's magical. So literally he's standing there right there, just holding his hand and just crying because
That's all track. I can almost see and hear what Sean's saying right there. Well, that's so cool.
when Sean came back this last time, back in March, he remembered Mac from that whole experience.
Wow.
So, given that song and showing you that moment, he wanted me to ask you this question.
Okay.
What inspired that collaboration? How did you come up with the song? I know that's kind of a generalized.
Yeah, so it's hard to answer that particular question or phrase that way, because sure, didn't we even go, okay, today I want to make a collaboration. Sean, how did that happen? I don't know.
Sure.
So as you know, Sean and I are really close friends, and we
just a Sean, you did that, yeah. What should yeah? I often say Sean, and I had to say,
yeah. It's just like, we were just talking on Skype and Zoom, whatever, just having a little kind of hangout and stuff. And then we would just throw each other stuff all day long. Could we work on anything, but not together, just studio buddies, but on the other side of Europe, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that I did a riff, and I was playing around, and I wanted something more aggressive than uplifting. Mm-hmm. So I was taking away kind of the soft attacks on the envelopes, stuff like this, and kind of sharpening it up and getting the release down, make it a bit more aggressive and widening the tune and stuff, really techy stuff. And then Sean knew that, this is kind of more aggressive. What if you did it and do these little flicks and play around with that? So I'm like, all right. And we just modified between each other about 3 days, and neither of us sat down and said we were going to do a collaboration.
Sure.
It was just like, wasn't
balancing the ideas back and forth.
It was like, done this, done that, and done that. I was like, you want to help check this out? What if I do this? He's like, hold on a minute. I came back and I'm waiting. I'm waiting. He's like, wait, and then you done. He obviously got himself really hooked into this. A couple of hours later, we let each other get on with the kind of those flows and come out, and you drop the kick and the sub on this, and I was just like, whoa, I don't know. All right, let's come back tomorrow on this one. And we didn't even plan to do it, and it just happened. So within basically, I'd say 2 years, it was done.
Those are the best kind of collab.
And that's it, right? Yeah, inspiration, spur of the moment, right there and then. And it was just like, I knew if there was anybody who could do something with this kind of really aggressive little kind of craziness, it was going to be Sean. He was going to help out with, he was definitely going to get the right tracks, and he absolutely smashed the sound design on it as well. So
as is such a great track. And speaking of Sean, you were A&R for Titanium.
That was a long time ago. Yes,
that's a long time ago.
Yes.
Let's go even further back. How did you meet Sean, and how did that relationship and friendship?
Don't quote me on the year, but it was touching over 10 years ago, definitely over 10 years ago now. I think it was just gigs,
Sure.
It was just gigs and shows, and you just kind of, you see the same names, the same face keep popping up, and it was just that type of thing. He was in Germany one time, and I just moved over to Germany, and
mid-2000s.
Mid-2000s, I had no money at all. I had nothing in my bank account, and I said, okay, let's just drive to Stuttgart. I think he was planning to go and see him. It was like 6-hour drive or something. So we decided, I thought, oh, we'll just sleep in the car. Just to go and hang out, sort of thing. And it was just that type of, so we went and we drove over, ended up getting a hotel. You know, the whole plan of made it all cool and sounds good at the time, but wait, you know what, now, give me my bit. Practice. No, definitely not. So be all flat. Yeah, we just hung out, had a good time, and just kept in touch. And I think he understood what I was trying to do in the studio, what I was working towards, and he did help me in loads of things. And I just loved his kind of straight shooting attitude. And he definitely has that. I respect that a lot. I really do.
Too many people in music and even in just business, like, they aren't straight with you. That realism. I have to think of seed now. Well, that realism is always a breath of fresh air when you're interacting with people.
It is. I mean, sometimes, personally, I'm working on myself, let's say.
We are.
To give a little more for time and energy to people who may not deserve it. So, yeah.
Certainly. So that way you can have something to give back to others.
Yeah, right. Those who deserve it.
So then after you worked with Sean, you ran Transgressions with my HQ counterpart, Mickey Grill. So,
yes.
What happened with Transgression after that final release with Yoshi and Razzner's Eternal?
Okay, so Transgression started, what year was it, 2016, 15?
Yeah, I'd say that was
down right, about, 14, 15, whatever it was. With my counterparts in Australia. And as over the years, I think we've done pretty well. We had a few events in Europe, we did some events in Australia, we had quite a decent number of releases, a few top 10s in fact. We had Yoshi Raz on there, Meta and Glider on there. Yeah, we pulled through, we had our ear on the ground for that uplifting stuff, and I'm really pleased to see Yoshi and Raz with Meta and Glide, really tear off recently.
Same here.
Amazing to see. And shout out to all 4 of those guys. Sipping. It's John Pitch too. Yeah. So all 6 of those guys, big shout out to what they've been doing. But with Transgression, it was difficult to manage between myself and the partners. Basically, life gets in the way, sort of thing. And obviously, when COVID hit, it was just we're all tools down. As then reevaluate, and everyone's life changed dramatically. So and hence, out with the ashes was a reason to rise.
If the phoenix arose,
it is hence the reason to rise. Yeah.
And so with what happened with COVID, right as that was really starting to get into the heat of it, that's when Reason to Rise really started. And how was that born? Jay is involved. I know that Bob is inspiration as well. How did that all start to develop?
It's off the back of what they said, the name in itself, because I pretty much checked out at one point, and that checking out was basically checking out, full stop. So why would I want to save a life that wasn't worth living in? And it was a really dark place. And I shout out to anyone who's going through that. There is, it will pass. It will pass. So when that passes, you start to reevaluate what's important, what isn't, and you look around and what's your reason to get out and let them on. And you asked me earlier, what else can I see myself doing? And the answer is nothing, because I'm honest with myself.
Sure.
I could have said, oh yeah, maybe I enjoy, I study physics and maths. I study some serious shit. Do I want to pursue that and work for it? No. So can I see myself doing it? No, because I don't want to. Is that selfish? Probably. But it's my creative need not to want to do this, and my privilege to be able to do so.
Absolutely.
And not being afraid of admitting that is now my freedom to work with this music.
It's your reason to rise.
It's my reason to rise. And that's the name. That's the reason why. Yeah.
I love it. I love that name. And I'm very fortunate to actually have the whole catalog. And a lot of that is thanks to our mutual friend, Mr. Bob Beckert, aka Bix, who told me how he got the name yesterday when you were staying with him. And you heard about the Bic, and then you came up with the Bix, and then him being creative and always looking at that morphine and brandy out of that little extra X.
Absolutely.
So and there's some phenomenal tracks on the label. You guys are doing an awesome job. So shout out to you and the team. Are there any artists you've signed that you see have some big potential for the future on the label, like you did when you started in music?
Yeah, there are a lot of people who do well, and there's just, I don't know what it is, but you kind of see it, you sense it, you smell it, and kind of sort of thing. You feel it.
You're drive with passion.
Yeah, it's a lot there, because a lot of people start with really full tanks and powerful and good driving skills, but towards the end of that race, you can't kind of batter it up when you run out of fuel and tired. You can't be all, there's a lot of that sometimes, but you need refueling, and it's hard to pinpoint who is going to be an amazing artist, because everyone is.
Yeah.
Because the reason to rise, it's not just who I decide that this guy's got one good track and I think he's going to be doing well. Oh, I have a second track, great. There's 2 good tracks, and then you're going to have an amazing career. Because that's just not fair to suggest this. Because I'm come on, decide that. Well, not my decision to make this, but do I see certain things as certain people and producers? Yes, I do. So with Reason to Rise, I made it paramount with Jay as a decision that our signing, our A&R process is completely different.
Yes.
We strip the names of the tracks entirely. I don't know. And this day, please let me 1, 2, 3, whatever. How many is in that session that day? It's numbered for me. That is it. And I give my feedback on a criteria that we set, and then I give a score. It's that simple. And then there's others. And it's about 5 to 6 to 10. It depends. We have a certain limit of people who's available at a time. We do certain ones, but it's a mixed bag of high-level skill producers, high-level producer DJs, and even those people, I'm not going to say who it is. I'm involved, of course, and Jay is as well. But the bigger this pool gets, the more accurate the score is.
Yes.
So basically at the end, we top this up, and if it's over a certain number, we sign the track.
Sure.
And then we let the person know, and I find out who it is. Yeah. And this way, and this is why the top coincidence on Reason to Rise is a few names keep popping up on Reason to Rise, because they're still getting through, and they're getting, this is good, this is consistency. This is the thing, yeah. And it wasn't because you signed one, we have a contract with you, give me another one. It doesn't work that way, and I refuse to do this with our artists. You lost them into a contract.
You're in music.
It happens, it can happen that way. We want another track from you. If you sign this one, we want another track from you. No, we want to sign the tracks on their own merits, and not just my decision to say so. And if the same names are coming through the same process, hence like the South Power Sun, who's usually on there. My band is another. Angel is coming through. The challenge got
Love his tracks.
yeah.
It's the last couple of years, my year mixes that I've ended on his tracks. Because
It's just yesterday.
powerful. And
Just yesterday, had Zero Gravity come up to high, and but there's all sorts of producers out there who are doing things right, and I can see consistency in things like C Systems and a few other guys who have been showing up recently. So there is, it's hard to pinpoint one particular producer, because it's not fair. It's not just a production; it's a whole.
I like how you kind of have that anonymity, and you're just looking to build that quality, which helps the label, and it builds his credibility, because it's just really tracks. It's not just the similar names of people; it's the actual sound behind it. So I absolutely love that. Reflecting back, given your own personal journey, what words of wisdom would you give to aspiring artists? Some of what you would say. I hate using the term secret sauce, but it's probably the closest that I could kind of conjure up. What is that secret sauce to being successful in this industry?
It's difficult to say, because I do not define my own personal success in a hierarchy or a tier in this industry. I just cannot do this myself. I have no idea. But of course, there are certain levels that where you are and where you aren't. You can sense. You know where you belong, should we say? So with that's a long time, and that evolved over industry changes too.
Which is Trance itself has changed a lot.
Everything changed, even the sound of the music, but not only that, the industry itself has changed, and what's needed to sustain a career. So before, the effort was in making the effort to find out who you needed to speak to, who you needed to go and do, and how you needed to interact, and who email address that you needed to press on. And
The networking side.
the network aside, and that's not just in the music industry, that's in every industry in the world. There's trade shows for every industry built and designed for this purpose. ADE is designed for this purpose. The industry is no different. And if you don't go down that route, then you can have the best music in the world, but you can't live here. You need the infrastructure to help you. And that's what I'm saying. I think the musical infrastructure, that's my experience in the trance world especially, changed dramatically. So, and this comes from Spotify self-releasing. What are labels bringing to the table? How much of it is social media? You asked me this question 5 years ago, you get a very different answer. Absolutely. You ask me now, How is would I be, I don't know, my success relevant today? Probably not. I'm nowhere near as active as I should be on social media. I'm still coming out of a place that terrifies the hell out of me almost, I mean, in a way. But I understand the need of it now. But you also need to understand the disposable nature of it. Right. 15-second clips that was 5 years ago. It's now 3.5-second clips. It's now how long your thumb can swipe for. Now it's beating the automatic reflex of your next swipe. This is where the marketing is going, and everything else is getting sucked through to it. So what advice would I give is understand the industry and trust your own product. That's it. Just trust your own product and understand the industry. Those two things, you be tight all the way.
Would you say that the product, and I just been thinking this on the fly, would you say that product is your music, or is that product you as your own brand?
It's both. It's your music is how you present it. Okay, then let's take you the best chef in the world. Like, you are pristine chef in the world, but I've never heard of
Ramsay, right?
Okay, he's a commercial chef. Very, very successful. He's a very good chef. I'm not saying that, but there might be, I don't know, maybe a better chef. Even he knows it's 10 times better than he is. I never heard this guy, but he comes into our room and but he's dressed like, I don't know, he's just been digging out horse manure. Or he's just really not. You just keep away from me. I'm going to catch something off you. Would you eat his food and rate it 10 out of 10?
That just on looks alone, probably not until you actually sampled it, right?
Right. So that's it's a bit of a weird kind of comparison, but you see what I'm trying to say.
I do like that comparison, which is why people like Gordon Ramsay has his own shows to find those names that they're able to submit what they can do and show that they are like the next big name, the next big chef.
And that's the thing. Your product is it's trusting in what you're doing. I think that's what I'm getting at. Because you don't dress the same way as a superstar chef doesn't mean you are one. But at the same time, if you dress like one doesn't mean you are one either. Correct. So they need to complement each other. You need to busy back up what you're putting out and trust what you're putting out. If you want feedback and you know you need feedback, then go and get that mentorship. Go and find out. Go and do what you need to do. To do that, do it. Feeling sorry for yourself and comparing you're not going to justify to every single person. Just go and get it sorted out, accept and trust your product. When you're 100% happy and you stand by it, then put the equal amount into the marketing, whatever you need, and that includes how you speak to labels. Correct. Don't ever send the labels on the same email with your 4 or 5 different labels. I mean, that's happening.
Especially the two-field users. It's piecing it.
Wow, these stories. And their stories, just a recent example that recent rise, we take 7 or 10 days to get back. It's been really busy, so we try and do, especially with our whole process and feedback and everything. It's a lot of work. So closer to the 7-day mark, we responded to a track that we really liked. The track had already gone. Sent to somebody else. Because, I'm not saying names or whatever, because they got a rejection from us before.
Okay.
So they assumed they were going to reject it again. Well, why did you send it?
Right.
Why did you send that? That's not cool.
You're on a mailing list now.
Now, yeah. So, but again, it was communicated, and so it was all good. But that's an example of let's put some effort into. You put all the effort into the track. Let's put all the effort into let's share that effort and passion. The label needs to understand it as well. So not just you can have it. Who wants this? I'm so and so. I've done this. This is awesome. No, let's what we can do together. This is now a product between your brand, my brand, the track. Together in the new world, which is social media driven. Right. What can we do together to make this successful? That's what I look for.
Exactly. There's a lot of moving parts. It going from a DJ sitting behind a computer to actually seeing that track on Spotify or Beatport. And then that again, even for aspiring artists too, knowing that process is very important for them too to be successful.
Yeah, success. I think was defined as objectively defined.
That's true.
And you need to define what your own success target is and then decide which instrument or measure you're going to use to get there.
And not necessarily look at like what the world's measuring.
Not as blurry, kind of phasey of everything mushed together and you're kind of hoping for the best sort of thing, because that's just going to end up in disaster. Absolutely. And I know that from experience sometimes.
Absolutely. We all do. So let's shift away from music. All right. So, as a fellow dog father, tell us about Teddy and the impact he's had on your personal life.
Oh, Teddy, man, I miss him already. I'm going to see him about 6 hours from now, maybe 10 hours from now, maybe I'll see him. No, yes, coming out of that dark place, with all support and everything, I realized I was a pretty lonely guy. Like deep, really inside, and not many people get in there. And I didn't realize. I mean, I have cats. Yeah, but famous. I have much of a bond with my I lose count of how many cats we have now. How many is it, Anya?
4.
4 this time. Okay, now we're still where are we on 4? It goes from like 3 to 6 and it hovers.
We have some friends. They live over in Wisconsin, which is it's like maybe a 60-minute drive from our house. They've got 7 dogs. They've got this big, like 1-acre property, big backyard. And they have a 2-year-old. So there's 2-year-old that's been growing up with all these dogs. It's just
Also, I never had dogs growing up. I had 1, 2 cats. But what happened the day that he came was, it was like you realize how responsible you were, you know, and then the bond was almost instant. Within a week, you realize that you can't go anywhere. He's like, let me come with you, you know, and it's so awesome. So when you see him, there's a person in there, and he's like, I don't know, and he talks to you, and yeah, I don't know what to say. Teddy's awesome. He just really helps you.
There's something about having a dog from it being little. Yeah. We got our first one, Jake, when our youngest was 6 months old, and he'll be turning 12 in October. So we're like, we want him to have a buddy growing up, and so
That's cool.
That's always great too. So
yeah, he now knows how to manipulate me. So that's it. He's definitely
such a child. They're really good at that.
And I am sure that's my I am an absolute man child, and I'm sure Anya's nodding. She is. I'm an absolute man child, and I used to be afraid of it, you know. But now with Teddy, I can be a man child around him. Sure. And we go out and go to the beach, go for walks, and we just like jump in bushes together and so, random shit. It's just like being an absolute child with them. I wrestle with them and also
they bring a lot of joy.
It's massive amounts of joy.
Well, great. It's been an absolute delight chatting with you, Darren. I'm getting to catch up with you and Anya once again. Can't wait to see you again soon. Hopefully sometime in the States.
Let's get over there. Yeah, it's been a long time, right?
Come to Minnesota.
I think I'll
take you out to the Mall of America on lakes. Have some fun.
Yes, Minnesota, the state of 1,000 lakes, right? 10,000 lakes.
It's actually 11,834.
Shit, it's got up the bruning.
Until the spring comes, and there's this one Chipotle on Hennepin Avenue where there's